practice, and obviously that helps, right? So, yeah, it could have been a lot worse. I think this should be like the hottest day out here, but camp gets like this sometimes. And they've had 2 shorter practices so far, and I don't know if that's by design initially or if the heat plays into it. Maybe a little bit of both. But it went today to like maybe 11:35. Same thing yesterday, and they could go a little longer, but they haven't.
So you wrote at our website, WGR550.com, about how the Bills spent some time today getting the ball down the field, 15 to 20-yard pass plays. Of course, he's not going to get hit, right? You take as much time as you need. But did you feel that this was like today's point of emphasis?
I did. And I wonder if it was something going in that they wanted to concentrate on that, or if that's just kind of the way the plays developed. Knowing how practices work this time of year, my guess is they really wanted to work on this specific part of the game. And, hey, we're going to look to this area of the field, and we're going to try and hit some balls there. And I thought that the offense was successful in doing that. And, of course, that comes with the other side of the ball doesn't make the plays. You always want some give and take. But I thought the offense had a better day today than they did yesterday, and especially in the intermediate passing game, which I do think they intentionally concentrated on.
Yeah, some of what I've read, including from you, indicated that maybe Keon Coleman had certainly a much better day than I don't think he caught a ball yesterday. Not that I'm one that's keeping stats on this or anything, but I found out he didn't catch a pass yesterday when I heard him being complimented today. But a good day for him, you'd say?
I would say so, yeah. I put a video up today of the pre-practice period, the warm-up period, the quarterbacks throwing routes to receivers, because obviously once they go to offense against defense, we can't do that. We can't shoot any video. And the reason why I put it up was because it relates to what happened during there, which is there was a play, there was a throw. Keon Coleman makes an in-cut from Josh, probably about 10 yards down the field. He catches the ball, and I mean, immediately he puts his foot in the ground and turns upfield. And I got to tell you, it sounds simple. It really does. But that's one of those little coaching points you learn when you're very young. And when you tell receivers, you catch that ball, you don't stay on your path for 2 or 3 steps, right? You know what I mean? You could catch it and just keep riding and then get upfield. It's you catch it and you go like a running back trying to get to the edge. And he did that really well. And then guess what happened during 11-on-11? Same kind of thing. Going the other way, he catches it right around, maybe I'd say 25 yards downfield on this one. It was a pretty deep throw from Josh Allen, and he found himself in a really good spot, caught the ball, and he just turns up the field, and then he gets to the sideline, and that was a notable play for me. I think that he had a good day. I think Curtis Samuel was the guy today for me that I really latched onto. I thought he had a really strong day today. He worked that intermediate range really well. They threw it to him in all levels of the field, but especially that intermediate range, I thought he made a couple of really nice plays.
Well, I really wonder about him. I mean, I know going back to a year ago at this time before he suffered the toe injury that was joint practices in Pittsburgh, if I remember correctly, it was like, wow, how many different things are they going to do with him? Just the variety of ways that you could utilize a player with his skill set. And you go through the year and it's such kind of a downer of a year mostly until really the very end for him. I think maybe we should be thinking about starting that conversation over again, right? Like all the different things they may want to do with Curtis Samuel. If he's healthy, maybe he's really an interesting factor in this offense.
Yeah, listen, I mean, you guys, we've talked long enough where that's kind of how I felt always about Curtis Samuel going into this year. I think last year was kind of a bit of a wash for what they wanted to do. It's almost like, as you said, you start over. I think the same plan is in place for Curtis Samuel. They want him to be a matchup guy. They want him to be a guy that they can put all over the field in different spots, including in the backfield. He's played running back, right? I think we saw a little glimpse of that in training camp last year, but you could, because he's played running back, you could put him in the slot. You could put him outside. He can win at different levels because he does actually have really good speed. Unfortunately, we just didn't see all that come together last year, and I think because of time on task with the injury, a lot of that, you have a lot on your plate when you're supposed to do that, and then just the timing of everything gets messed up. I think you just kind of start over from that regard, to be quite honest with you, and you put him back in that position and say, this is why we brought him here, and we still think he can be that guy.
Is there anything to say about Elijah Moore yet?
No. he's got really good feet. I notice him right off the line of scrimmage. He's got really good feet. I haven't noticed him in the 11-on-11 or 7-on-7 portion as much as I do when I'm watching like the 1-on-1. Like when you're standing next to him and you watch the physical skill set of him just kind of releasing against air, running a route. Like he looks like a really good athlete who has suddenness to him. You could tell that. I haven't seen much happen with him in the 7-on-7 or 11-on-11. I mean, one point to make here about Keon, to circle back, and I think this kind of goes for everybody since we're talking about receivers, though. I really like the point that Joe Brady made today. Now, Joe didn't say it like this, but he basically is what he said, which is don't judge Keon Coleman until you get the pads on. This isn't his game. Keon Coleman's game isn't shorts and a T-shirt, right? Keon Coleman's game is physicality. When you try to put hands on him and how he can win separating from you as you're running down the field. Right now, you can't do that. He could put hands on him. You're not fighting. You're not hand fighting right there, right? He can't use his strengths in this environment right now. And I really like that point. To me, it's the same reason I say I don't really watch O-line and D-line right now because I'm not really gaining anything. What am I doing? They're just going against each other and putting their hands on each other's chests and moving a little bit. I think that goes here, too. I want to see that with Elijah Moore, not because of the physicality in the same regard as I want to see with Keon Coleman. I want to see what happens when they're pressing, Elijah Moore at the line of scrimmage, and he has the ability with his feet to kind of make a difference here because they can't necessarily get him.
I did see his name come up today in my feed while practice was going on, but it was more to be a compliment, I think, to Matt Milano, who chased him down pretty capably on an end-around try, if I read that correctly.
Matt Milano is just such a good athlete. He really is. I mean, he made a couple plays today that it's almost to the point where, like, I did note one of them. I did write about it. I tweeted about it. I wrote about it. But he makes these plays. They're so routine for him, it seems like. And I know that he hasn't been on the field, but that's what he does. He diagnoses. He gets to a spot. He is so good at getting to a spot on the field before anybody else because he's so good at understanding how to do that. It's seeing it and diagnosing it, but it's also the angle you take and the path you take. I mean, I don't know this. I'll have to ask Matt. I bet you Matt was a running back in his life. You know what I mean? Like he has the vision to understand how to get to a spot so well. It's great.
So there's no equivalent here, like cornerbacks, they say, are cornerbacks because they can't catch. I don't know if Milano had fumbling issues or something as a running back, if he did play the position. Would that or something else qualify as the best of camp today? It's brought to you by Northtown Automotive. Get a Northtown Engine Shield engine protection warranty on new and used vehicles, and we'll find out later why Bulldog reacted like that.
Well, I'll tell you right now why, because I'll be honest. Sal, go ahead. Tell us what you think it is, but I think I know what you're going to tell me. Tell us.
It's not any of that stuff.
Right,
Bulldog?
Yep.
It's James Cook's play today.
Yep.
James Cook had a legit, I think. I say it like this because, as I tweeted, you can never know when a play will actually be stopped in this environment, right? Because they blow the whistle as guys get close to you. So even though guys always are taught to continue to run for a touchdown, and it's so funny, the fans are like, yeah, there he goes. I'm like, yeah, he would have been stopped for a 2-yard gain, actually, but not tackling him. Right. So he just runs out. That wasn't the case for this little swing pass caught in the flat by James Cook. I think he legitimately had a 70-yard touchdown on this play, to be quite honest with you. He caught the ball in the flat. Reggie Gilliam was in front of him, makes a block. I don't remember who was out there. It was a corner. And he made one cut and then got to the sidelines, and bam, he was off to the races. And then the only other guy left deep was DeMar, and Tyrell Shavers got in his way. And again, can't block, but he got in his way enough where I think James Cook would have made this a legit 70-yard touchdown. So much so that I'm confident in saying that Deion Dawkins brought that play up when he talked with us after practice today and said, I think he would have had a 70-yard touchdown. And I'm like, Yep, I think he would have too.
What about Cook and his comments today? We've talked about this all the time. And when last we spoke before camp started, you mentioned how back at minicamp, you weren't entirely clear on what he was going for or what his motives exactly were, or what his plan was. Maybe that's the better way to put it. Today, he was asked, among other things, about whether he considered a hold in or not being here. And he said, to one or both of those things, he said, I'd never really thought about it. Well, that's interesting. It furthers my state of confusion about this. What actually was the strategy here with Cook?
Well, I think to James' credit, when we say this, right, to talk about this, which I agree, everything you just said, Mike, there was never that threat. Like, nobody put that threat out there. That was always a speculation by all of us, by people in the media. Like, we never heard James Cook say he wouldn't come and show up, except for the one maybe answer he gave at minicamp, like, well, we'll see when I get there. But, like, it was never anything that seemed. The only thing we ever heard from James Cook and his side was this number, $15 million, right? That's what we keep seeing and hearing and people putting out there. So when he does that, we get to, okay, well, is he gonna hold in? That never happened. I think I got a little more clarity today just from listening to him, and I think the clarity is simply James Cook feels he's one of the best, if not the best running back in the league, and he wants to be paid as such. And whether that's from the Buffalo Bills or someone else, that's what his goal is. His goal is to get that contract. He wants to get paid. He wants to be a good teammate while he's here. He loves his team. There's nothing that means that he doesn't, none of that, but he feels that he should be compensated what he's worth, and he feels he's worth top running back money.
It was interesting to hear him talk about his desire to get involved on third downs more than he has been, which I guess almost any involvement on third downs would be more than he has been, because he just that has not been his role. And said, like, somewhat authoritatively, I think he said, like, and I'm going to do that, right? I want pass blocking and all that stuff. And I thought, did Joe Brady talk this morning? Did he say anything about, was he asked about James Cook's role on third downs? Because I'm curious if the team shares what Cook's vision is, because his motivation to show he can do that part of the job, it would be obvious, right? I mean, that's I hope he knows maybe the biggest thing standing in his way of getting a big top of the market contract for a running back is that he played less than 50% of the snaps. And a way to up that to 60 or 70% is to be more trusted on third downs.
Yeah, I know exactly how emphatic you're talking about, because he said it to me. He looked right at me. I asked him about what that means when he says wanting to play on third down. I said, what does that mean, like, for you? Does that mean – I said, we know you – what I said was, hey, we know you can catch the ball out of the backfield. So does that mean being a better pass blocker and showing that you can handle those duties? And he said, yeah, everything. Even being better, catching the ball. But he said, I want to be on third down, and I'm going to. And I took it more as not he's been told he's going to – I took it more as a confidence of, oh, yeah, I got this. Like,
I'm going to show them I can do it. Right.
Yep, exactly right. That's the way I took it. I agree. I think by his answer, Bulldog, he kind of knows, like, this is a barrier to him right now. Mm-hmm. This is something that he has to show. Now, maybe, I don't know this, speculation, maybe James Cook feels that he should be on third down more. Maybe he feels that the Bills are holding him back from being on third down, and he's done what he can do. I don't know, right? That's really interesting. Does he feel that if he was with another team, another coaching staff would trust him more on third down and give him a bigger role on third down? Maybe that's where some of this comes from as far as making the money, where he feels, no, it's not me, like, not being on third down, which is causing this. It's you guys telling me I can't be on third down, but I know I can do that.
One thing, if this isn't too small a sample size, I want to think that it isn't. I mean, he was kind of famous for his drops 2 years ago. He had 6 officially. Yep. 11% of his targets were drops. And that season, this is 2023, 44 catches. And the total yards, like air yards, on those plays, 47. So it was a little bit down the field. Contrast that, it might not sound like much. Contrast that to last year, 32 catches, a notch lower. The total yards in the air before being caught, -2. So, like, everything
was that
was thrown to him was out in the flat, right, behind the line of scrimmage. And I think for him to get where he wants, the way you're talking, where he was talking, is he's got to get to a point where they're going to throw him, like wheel routes or, curls or something, where he's like, for first downs, at the sticks. Mm-hmm. Because none of that went away. I mean, there was a little bit of that before. You can think New England is one. You can think of a couple of drops that were pretty, egregious. But last year, they kind of took that out of their offense. They took that away from him.
Yeah, you're right. I think I go back to thinking about 2 years ago, not this past year, but a couple owners' meetings ago, Sean McDermott talking about that type of philosophy on offense, which is I really kind of took note when he's like, you don't have to throw the ball downfield to get the ball downfield. You can throw it short and have a guy run. He said that at the owners' meetings 2 years ago. Well, lo and behold, that's exactly what you're talking about, Mike, which is I have a running back here. I don't have to hand it to him. I'll just throw it to him as a running back and then let him do what he does. And James Cook's really good at that. I don't know if the drops from 2 years ago played into that. Last year, how they did this and how they worked it. They also have Ty Johnson, who's pretty good out of the backfield, who can run some of those routes. They've run some of those wheel routes to him. So we'll see what the plan is. I mean, going into this year, if it changes at all. But I expect a lot of that same stuff. I expect a lot of even the touchdown he had today was that. It wasn't down the field. It was basically behind the line of scrimmage or right at the line of scrimmage from my angle. I was in the end zone. It was coming at me, and he caught it, and he just made a move and went down the field.
Anything to report on the cornerback 2 battle? I know it's only day 2 of training camp, but was there anything at all between White and Hairston notable today?
The only thing I'll tell you is that early on there was an 11-on-11, and Josh threw the ball deep down the sideline to Keon Coleman. And Max Hairston was with him, stride for stride. So that was a good play by him. Again, let's see what happens when these guys get pads on. If you're talking about a size difference there, is there anything that happens differently, through the course of that route? But that was nice coverage by Max Hairston. And then I did note that almost every time, Tre'Davious White comes off the field and Max Hairston comes on for him, they make eye contact, they pass each other, and they either exchange words or give a low five or a fist bump or something like that. I just think those things are notable, right? You got a guy here who's a veteran. The other guy's coming to take your spot, essentially. Trey's kind of the penciled-in starter, I guess you'd say. And I think just shows Tre'Davious White's willingness to be a good teammate and say, look, I mean, this kid, I'm trying to help him. I'm not trying to hurt him.
Right. How about injuries today? There was Dorian Williams and A.J. Epinesa, I heard, left early. I didn't see any details on Epinesa, but you saw Williams after practice yourself, right?
I did. I didn't see any. I haven't not seen or heard anything about A.J. Epinesa's injury. In fact, I did not see either of them get hurt in any way. They both went to the trainer's tent area. But after practice, I did see Dorian Williams come out of the locker room as we were standing ready for press conferences. He walked up the stairs that lead to the dorm and lunch area, and he was on his own. He didn't have a trainer with him, a coach with him. He walked on his own, but he also had his lower right leg wrapped with like a sleeve on it, with compression sleeve, I'd say. And then he had a pretty noticeable limp, I would say. But he did walk on his own, which is good. Dawson Knox was on the field today, not in a playing capacity, but working with a trainer off to the side. So obviously that's very good news for Dawson Knox to hopefully return sooner rather than later.
Recognizing that you said what you said about not watching the lines because there's no pads, there's not a lot to be gained there. But seeing as how Epinesa has come up, I'm wondering if it's crazy to think that maybe a good camp, a good preseason, just a good summer overall from Javon Solomon could put Epinesa in peril at all.
Agreed, and I think the team really likes Javon Solomon. I think I liked what I saw from Javon Solomon. Not that I don't like A.J. Epinesa, but this is a second-year player who I thought really showed some flashes when he played last year. I don't know if I've said to you guys, but if you go and look, I think Javon Solomon is the exact same size as Jerry Hughes. Mm-hmm. Right? He's like,
right.
It's he's a undersized pass rusher, but you're talking about him putting a really nice college career together, putting numbers up, getting to the passer. Doesn't have to translate, but a lot of times that position it kind of can. So yeah, I agree with you. I think if that's the case, then maybe you're looking at an A.J. Epinesa, and I think they do save some money moving on from A.J. Not that I predict it necessarily here, but that might be a decision they have to make towards the end of training camp.
Sal, I believe I've read that you're going out tonight.
I mean, don't I go out every night?
Do you?
Here?
Maybe.
No, I am. Yeah, it's yeah. We had a nice night last night over at the Pittsford pub. Just a few media colleagues getting together and having some dinner and unwinding a little bit. But tonight, a little bit different. We're Matt Bovey and I are going to be headed over to Bar Bill East over on Empire Boulevard out here in Rochester. We're going to do our It's Always Game Day in Buffalo podcast live. And then if you're not there live, you don't watch it, you can always watch the recorded version, which is fine, obviously. We've done it the last 2 years. We've had a great crowd. We set up another camera and mic. If people want to come up and ask us questions, we can do that as well. I believe we're going to have a little bit of WGR swag out there as well. And Fiddlehead IPA is helping making it possible. So they're going to be out there. So we're going to have a really nice time tonight out at Bar Bill East.
Very good. Any questions for us?
Any questions?
Yankees.
Oh, yeah. You were talking. No Yankees. No
Four
Yankees.
more errors yesterday, Sal.
They lost. I wasn't going to
mention
it.
I know. You didn't ask me about the AFC East discussion. I was prepared for you to ask me about the AFC East discussion. So it's not necessarily I guess I'll ask you, did you ever read when Dan Shaughnessy on a yearly basis would write an article about the tomato cans the Patriots are facing in the AFC East?
No, but I believe it.
Yep. So he used to do this, and I used to read it every year and get mad. Like, come on, like somebody can. Your discussion reminded me of that. Are we overconfident? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, the Patriots went through this for 20 years, and they just kept winning every single year. It did not matter.
Well, is that a fair comp? Maybe it is. I mean, nobody seems close right now
Right.
to what the Bills are. So at least for now, it seems like that's maybe fair.
We know the Bills haven't had the overall successes them with the Lombardis and things like that, but I just remember Dan Shaughnessy writing articles about how the Patriots once again have a bunch of tomato cans they're playing in the AFC East, and I'll see you in January. I mean, seriously, right? And it kind of remind me of that, to be honest with you.
I know he wrote books about how the Red Sox didn't win championships because of ghosts, but I didn't know about this other.
I read a few of those books.
Brand.
Yes.
Yeah, because of ghosts. Turns out they were able to win somehow. They were able to overcome the ghosts.
The ghosts let them win, finally.
Changed their mind.
That's what happened, yeah.
Thank you, Sal. Should be a fun night.
Yeah, thanks, guys.